What's up everyone? I'm Joe and I'm coming to you from Nankin Hobby for another video about battery specs. Today we're going to be talking about wattage. Now this isn't exactly a spec on your battery, but in RC stuff we're going to be using it for things like charging and selecting a proper charger for your battery. Wattage is simply your amperage times your voltage. Wattage is something that's sometimes referenced on your battery itself in something called watt hours. Like milliamp hours or amp hours, this is just another way to talk about capacity. My 5200 Genzace bashing pack that we've been referencing throughout this series is a 38.48 watt hour battery. That's 5.2 amp hours times the nominal voltage of the pack, 7.4 volts. That means that I could draw 38.48 watts from this pack for an hour. Or, in other words, I could draw 5.2 amps at 7.4 volts for an hour. Often when you hear about electric cars, the real full-size ones, you'll hear talk about batteries rated in watt hours. That's what this is. Now, watt hours isn't typically a super useful spec for running, as you're rarely going to be utilizing less than your pack's voltage. Unless you're stepping down that voltage or something, amp hours is going to be the more relevant spec to you. Watt hours are useful though when it comes to charging. LiPo batteries are usually charged at what's called a 1C rate. If you've watched the last video on amperage and C rating, you've probably already guessed it. That means 1 times the capacity of the pack in amps. My 5200 milliamp hour pack will charge at 5.2 amps. And since it's a 5.2 amp hour pack, that means it will charge in 1 hour. There's a little bit more to it though, because even if your charger can charge at 5.2 amps, it also needs to have enough wattage. Genzace packs are kind of nice because they usually tell you on the label what the wattage is. In this case, 38.48 watt hours. If your battery doesn't state that though, it's pretty simple math. Because this is a 7.4 volt pack, I need to multiply that by 5.2 amps to know how much wattage my charger needs to charge within an hour, 38.48. Almost all chargers are going to handle a 38 watt hour pack without issue, but this can become relevant when you have very large capacities or larger cell counts. If this same pack were a 3S or 11.1 volt pack, for example, I would need a 57.72 watt hour charger. If you were charging on a 50 watt charger, you would notice that even if your charger were set for a 3S and 5.2 amps, it would never actually exceed 4.5 amps. This isn't a big deal, it would just take a little bit longer than an hour. A 6S 5200 though would take quite twice as long. This can also be an issue if you're using a charger that can charge multiple batteries at a time. Sometimes these chargers will have multiple independent charge ports that are each rated with their own wattage. Other times, though, the overall wattage of the charger is broken up between each port, while the overall wattage is all that's listed on the box. This is an important thing to look out for when you're buying a charger. So, when it comes to the wattage on your charger, bigger is better. Kind of. Bigger is better up to the point where it isn't, and then it's still not worse. The key here is to have enough. The takeaways here are that voltage and amperage aren't just standalone specs, but part of something called wattage. And that isn't usually important when looking at RC batteries. It can be important for charging them though, so make sure your charger can deliver enough amperage and enough wattage to charge your packs in a reasonable time frame. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.